Annapolis. I'm your host, Carmel Brown, and I'm here at the Heritage Community Bridge with candidate Keanuú Smith Brown running for councilman. Can you tell us why we picked this location?
Absolutely. Well, this is actually in the heritage community off of South Cherry Grove. And this creek here is called Spa Creek, for those who may not know what it is called. I chose this place today for our first location for many of reasons. The first one is because as speaking with some of the constituents here, they've expressed that this bridge to them is a sense of community. It ties both sides of South Cherry Grove together, and it also gives you a nice, beautiful environment to look around, which to me is important because that's green space. I believe in green space. I believe in recreation. I believe that we need to have opportunities to just enjoy ourselves, listen to the sounds of the forest, the gardens, whatever that may be. And that includes the birds, the bees, and many other insects and animals. So I chose this place because it's very nice, calm. I love taking walks around this area. And to me, a sense of community is extremely important for me, yes.
That speaks volumes. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how it has prepared you to run for councilman?
Sure. So I was born here in Annapolis City. I was raised here by my mom, Tamika Smith, and I was also raised in public housing communities, Section 8, all across the state. I would call it the Southern Maryland and Northern Maryland because I had Annapolis and Calvert County. But I lived here in Admiral Farragut. That was the first place my mom had. That's where I was born, where I was. I lived in after that, it was Eastport Terrace. That's the second place that my mom took us. And then after I moved from Calvert back home, I went to Admiral Oaks, where I spent my entire middle school career, Bates Middle School. And so in that entire time, I actually gauged a great interest in government, public policy, political science.
What do you feel like would be your greatest strength to govern the city? And also, what would be your greatest weakness?
Sure. Well, I would say one of the greatest strengths would be visionary leadership. I do believe that we have to have vision when we're thinking about things. You know, seeing things is great and all, and I thank God to have the ability to see, especially when we can see our beautiful surroundings. But having vision is beyond seeing things. You know, this is setting goals and paths and being able to listen to the truths around you and apply those things to make things happen. That's what I see it as. And so having leadership, being able to fight, stand up, you know, fight back and stand in what you believe. You know, I always say you have to walk in who you are, your self-truth. And so being able to do that in a governmental capacity, to me, makes a lot of change. Why can't we use the power that we are afforded?
And your greatest weakness?
Yeah, so I would say that not being able, I know I talk about, you know, people not getting things done, not being able to compromise many of times, because I feel that certain things we shouldn't have to compromise on. Now I believe we have to get things done. And so as long as I'm not sacrificing my ideology and my values, then of course, yeah, let's agree on some things and maybe agree to not agree on some things too, as long as we're getting the change. You know, the change is what matters the most to me. And so I think that would probably be one of the things I can work on a little bit more. You know.
So, you know, the question that every candidate gets asked, and, you know, is the big question is, why do you feel like you're the best candidate for this position?
Sure.
What makes you the best person to run Ward 3?
Yeah, well, I believe, you know, a core part of my campaign is families, finances, and future. And I believe that we have to unify. You know, it's about, I said earlier, a sense of community, but it is about us as families and even as individuals coming together and being our best selves. You know, the reason I also got involved in politics because I realized that I want to better as many lives as possible.
So, of course, we're going to ask the number one question that every candidate gets, and it's the elephant in the room, is why do you feel like you would be the best candidate to win this ward?
Sure. I would say there's many of reasons. One of them includes just my experience, my life experience. Not even just the work that I've had, because that's just employment, you know, sometimes. But I do say it's my life experience and things that I've gone through, things that I've you know, witnessed in front of me. Whether that was growing up in a single household, my mom struggling to make sure there's food on the table, her moving around to find the best job, the best education for her children. At the time, I'm the oldest of six. But we grew up, just me and one of my brothers, we grew up in the same household, and she did her absolute best, and that inspired me even more than I already was inspired. It inspired me to keep working, keep going through things, even if it's hard, even if it's difficult. Keep on, you know, writing them papers and pages of papers, and just get yourself through it. Because I mean, all the struggle that you go through, it's for a purpose, and so as long as you have that purpose and reason for doing something for the right reasons, then I'm always for it.
For the people that aren't familiar with you, how would you describe your leadership style?
Sure.
And what should the people in your ward expect from you?
Well, what they can expect from me is uh, I talked a little about communication, but it's analyzing. They say the Virgos are huge analyzers, however the stars would align. But I am an analyzer, so I take a lot of time to make decisions. Not now that's not always the bad, the good in it, because you can take a lot of time coming up with a solution. Because I want to hear everyone's voice. I can't just make a unilateral decision, because then I'll second guess sometimes, and I'll know that, ooh, maybe this person didn't get a say in this. And so if that person didn't get a say, what if that'll change the entire whether this project comes about? And so my analyzing skills, I believe, is one of the greatest assets that I'll be bringing to the table. I talked about compromise a little bit, and compromise and analyzing. Through my analyzing, I don't even need to compromise, because I'll know that with these facts, with this strategy, it's the best one. I mean, this what the data will show. And so I think it is one of them is analyzing.
What committees would best fit those talents that you just described?
Sure. The finance, I would say, that's probably going to be one of my favorite, aside from the environmental matters. But finance is going to be one of my favorite. This is where the money is. I mean, where the money lies is where change can happen. That's what I say too. Because if you don't have the money, how's it going to get done? So you need to be able to allocate our funds. And so budget management, which I'll talk about a little bit, that's extremely important in the city. When you're $10 million plus in debt, you need to make sure that we're putting our money in the right places, so that it is investing in the communities that we need to serve more, and even sustaining the support that we're giving to the rest of Annapolis. But why can't we spend that money where it should go? When you talk about community policing, when you're talking about environmental concerns, why can't we just spend our money in those departments so that those people are supported, and so that our departmental workers are supported, so that our people can see the change that we're looking to make? And so finance, I'm gonna get that money, make sure we're spending it right. And the environmental matters, I'm gonna make sure that our environment is in the best condition as well. I always talk about the best, because we should strive for the best, the more, that's what we have to do. And so those two committees
Earlier, you spoke about communication. How do you feel like you would best communicate with your constituents, and what can they expect from you?
Sure. Well, one, you have to have innovation. Innovation is extremely key. Creative ways to communicate with people. Yes, social media. Yes, email. Yes, texting opportunities. Yes, calls. Face to face. Probably one of the greatest ways to do it, but face to face. So I'm going to take every opportunity I can to talk with my constituents, hear from my constituents, learn from my constituents, and also do what I know should be done for my constituents. And I can't do that if I don't communicate properly or listen properly, because it's not just about talking; it's about listening.
So, if I'm a resident of Ward 3 and I have something on my heart about my community, or something that I just want to get to you, what would be the best way for me to get in contact with you, or to get that message to you?
Sure, you can call. You can. That's probably the fastest way. Call or text. And you can email. You can even message on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, any of the social media. Um, those would probably be some of the good.
So the first question to start off this lunch would be, can you describe the ethnical and racial makeup of your ward, and what are the specific issues relating to that demographic, and how do you plan on fixing those?
Sure. Well, I would say the racial makeup is pretty diverse. We have one of the most diverse wards of the eight in our city. So for this Ward 3, I would say Black persons is definitely in the lead demographic here, alongside then there being about a 200, 300 person difference between the white community and the Hispanic community. At least that was from 2012 numbers. And when you look at the numbers today, the deviation hasn't really adjusted too much. So we're going to assume that there's about, out of the 5,000, almost 5,000 people in our ward, we have about 2,300 or so, and then splitting the rest amongst the Hispanic and the white community, the Hispanic and the white community. The issues are different, of course, as we know, but there's a lot of unilateral, I would say, issues for all the communities, and that's the basic necessities of human life.
You seem to know your ward very well, but how would you advance understanding your ward and the city around race and other related issues?
Sure, absolutely. So there's many ways we can go about hearing the concerns, listening to the concerns, and doing our best to address those issues that are brought to the table. I mean, that's one of the ways that I do believe I'll do quite well in, because I'll take the time to go out and have those conversations and ask people to contact me. But they have a lot to deal with on their plate. So me as a representative who's supposed to represent people, I have to come already knowing. And so I have to take the time myself to go, meet these people where they are and understand the trials and the tribulations in everyday life. And I can do that, one, even if it's not me myself, but by creating task forces and having opportunities for commissions. I talked about in my team developing a plan for a women's commission in the city of Annapolis. We talked about developing a plan, of course, for other ethnic groups and demographics in our city. These are ways that we can hear the issues. They'll explain those issues to us at the city council level, and we're able to apply that change into our policy.
All right, so this is great. We got plenty of food to eat, plenty of issues to talk about. So far, we've covered a lot about your ward, but I wanted to ask, in your eyes, what are some of the top political issues in the city, and how do they correlate to the issues in your ward, and how do you plan on fixing some of those?
Sure. I would say that one of those would include, just like in Ward 3, when we talk about unification and people coming together, there seems to be a separation amongst our demographics in Ward 3, but also at the city level, where you have, of course, over in our area, kind of on the opposite side of Annapolis, is 8-mile radius. And so you're going downtown, very tourists. Your tourism is heavy in the downtown area. You have the businesses well attended. You have the streets pretty much packed. A lot of people, when they come to Annapolis, they think about downtown Annapolis, enjoying the water. And I think we need to have that mentality that it's about every single ward coming together and investing in all parts of the wards. The second one I would say is, when I think about the environment. Now, the environment is extremely crucial to our well-being. We have to have a fresh air, and we have to have clean water. So the environment, to me, in Ward 3 is beautification. The third one, which I think is not just about our budget, because when I look at our budget, having an over $100 million budget and 22 million going to police, about 22 million going to that police, and then you have our fire, and then you have our health and pensions and things like that. Those are extremely important. We need to make sure that they can give a call when there's maybe domestic violence issues, or there's some persons with drugs or what have you. We need to make sure that our police is fully funded. But getting into the communities and making sure that our police officers live here is extremely important. So why not allocate funds also into mental health services for those people, finding out ways to make sure that those people can afford to live in the city. So you talk about housing affordability and living sustainable. We need to make sure that they can afford to stay in the city of Annapolis.
But this has been a great discussion. It's been a pleasure chilling with you and your ward, understanding a little bit about your ward and how you view it. I think it's going to be excellent for you to have a great run in this candidacy, and I wish you much luck.
Thank you.
And thank you to Action Annapolis for making this happen, and a wonderful lunch.
Thank you. Yes.
Guys, welcome back. It's been a wonderful day, wonderful journey. I had the pleasure of taking a tour through the Ward 3 with Keanuú Smith Brown. And we just want to remind you guys that the election is September 21st. That is the day you want to get out and place those votes. And for those that want to vote prior to, you have your mail-in ballots to do so. But with no further ado, I introduce you to your candidate running for City Council in Ward 3, Keanuú Smith Brown.
Hello, my name is Keanuú Smith Brown, and I'm running for Alderman of Ward 3 here in the city of Annapolis. I'm just honored to have this opportunity where I have always had the vision to serve in public service. I want to do my absolute best, and I will do my absolute best to represent all of the wards, as well as my Ward of 3 and the constituents in Ward 3. Our families, finances, and future. I believe the time has come to save our families, finances, and future. Those 3 points are key to my campaign and key to my platform. I'm going to fight on behalf of our children. I'm going to make sure that our youth, they are supported, they are educated. I'm going to fight on behalf of our environment. I'm going to make sure there is clean beautification. I'm going to fight on behalf of our city, make sure that we are managing our debt and our budget. I am going to fight on behalf of every single resident to make sure that they have public housing, housing that is safe for them, communities that are safe for them, making sure that our families can thrive, our businesses can thrive, our children can thrive, and the city will thrive. So I pray that all is well with you, but I ask for you to vote for Keanuú Smith Brown here in the primary election in the city of Annapolis. Thank you, and God bless you.